This video is going to cover some of the basics of optimizing your WordPress post for that all-important free search engine traffic. Now there's a lot of items to deal with in the world of search engine optimization or SEO, and what makes this even more confusing is that the importance of some of these items are going to change. A few years ago, for example, all you needed was a whole bunch of targeted keywords in your site's head section and in the content area, and boom, you were on the first page of Google. Well, those days are no more, but there are some basic steps that you should be taking to help your SEO rankings. And like with many things in WordPress, there's a plugin that can help us do this. One such plugin is called All-in-One SEO Pack by Michael Torbert. So let's go ahead and install and activate this plugin. And to do this, we need to log into our dashboard area, which I've already done here. And if you've never done this before, it's super simple. Just go on up to the address bar of your browser and enter the URL of your WordPress installation, followed by a /wp-admin, hit enter, and then a box is going to pop up asking you for your username and your password. Go ahead and put those in, click on login, and you'll be brought to this page. And once you're here, come on over here to the left sidebar and hover over the word plugins, and in the flyout, click on add new. Then up here in the search plugins box, type in all-in-one SEO pack, then hit enter. And it should be one of the first ones that pop up. Go ahead and click on install now, and then activate plugin. Now, as soon as you activate the plugin, you're going to get this pop out here. And of course, read these over, but for the most part, you can just dismiss these. And as soon as you activate the plugin, most of the default settings that were done at the point of you activating the plugin is really enough. You've really just done a lot more for your search engine optimization than anybody that does not have this type of a plugin installed and activated on their site. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the settings. Now it does appear up here at the top on your left sidebar. So we're going to go ahead and check out the general settings, and you get this other flyout here. You can go ahead and read that and then dismiss it. And I suggest going ahead and signing up for their mailing list, but just coming on down the line here, if you want to learn more about each one of these options, you can just click on the word or the question mark over here to the left, and you'll get this little drop down to give you more information. And there's also some clickable links in there as well to learn more. But like I said, most all of the default settings are just fine, but I do suggest that you go ahead and enter a title and a brief description for your homepage. And you have certain limitations here as far as the amount of characters you can use for the title or description. The keywords I really wouldn't worry so much about because they're not used as much nowadays as they were in days gone by. And having said that, the keyword settings that appear on each of your post editor pages, I myself just disable this because, again, they don't really mean that much anymore. But if you want to go through the trouble of adding keywords, by all means leave this enabled. Otherwise, you can disable this. And I'll show you here in a second where this shows up at on the post pages. But if you just scroll on down here, the title settings, again, the default settings are just fine. But if we come on down here to the display settings, I like to leave these as is, but just to point this out, if we were to go into the post or pages page, that being right here, just click on post or pages where it's going to display all of the different posts or pages that you have. The all-in-one SEO plugin adds these different columns. So if you don't want those columns in there for some odd reason, then you just untick this box and then come on down here to the very bottom and click on Update Options. And just to show you what that looks like, you see where those items have been removed from the post page. But like I said, I like to leave those on. But at least now you know what those do. Likewise with the display menu and admin bar, that's this up here. Sometimes that doesn't work for me, but like I said, I like the default settings. And likewise here to display menu at the top, it's checked. If it's unchecked and you save it, then this is going to appear down at the bottom. But that's the display. The webmaster verification, I do recommend highly that you put this information in here. And again, you can learn more about these by clicking on the question mark or the title over here. Having said that though, if there are other plugins installed and activated on your site that already have this information, do not, I repeat, do not put this information in twice. But if you do not have a plugin or have this information installed on your WordPress site anywhere else, by all means add it. It can only help. And to generate some additional love from Google, I would suggest checking this information out as well. And by default, or the global settings for these, I would leave these as they are, and I'll show you how you can adjust that on a post by post basis. And again, any changes you make, just come on down here and click on Update Options. And there are some items in the Feature Manager that you might want to check into as well. Some of these are taken care of by other plugins that you may already have installed. To limit the amount of plugins that you have on your site, I would suggest just checking this out and comparing this to other plugins you may have. If you don't have any that handle XML sitemaps, go ahead and just click on Activate here. Likewise with social media, robots.txt, bad bot blocker, and so on. But that's the general settings of the all-in-one SEO pack. Now let's head on over to a new post and go through the creation process of an optimized post. Of course, you want to put in the title here and the content here. So with the title and the demonstration post in here, and if we scroll on down, you can see that all-in-one SEO pack has added this additional module to our post editor page. And this gives us an example of how this post will appear in the SERPs, the search engine results page. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and show you an example of a search engine results page. So if somebody were to do a search for garden tools, this is a typical search engine results page for those keywords. Not all the time, but sometimes over here on the right, you'll have some sponsored or some advertisements for that particular keyword. Likewise along the top. And then you have the what's called organic search results. And this is pretty much what you're looking for. You've got the title, you've got the URL, and you've got the description. So where does Google get these? Or Bing or Yahoo? Well, if you come on back to the post, by default, the search engines grab the title of your post from here, the URL from here, and the description from here. So what if the first item in your post is an image? Well, all the search engines are going to get is maybe some meta information like the size or the dimensions of that image. Or if you have a title attribute to that image, they might pick that up. Well, you're not really going to want that. You want to have more control over what the search engines are going to put in the search engine results page. And that is where all-in-one SEO pack comes into play. The title, you can put whatever you want in here to replace this if you don't want that to be the title on your search engine results page. You've got 60 characters to go right here. For example, and the URL, I should have mentioned this earlier, but if you have not yet adjusted what's called the permalinks, that's the basic structure of your URL. If you've not yet adjusted that from the time that you first installed WordPress, now is a good time to do that. Let's go ahead and come on down to settings, and in the flyout, click on permalinks. I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab. And depending upon the installation process you went through on your WordPress site, you may have the day and name as your permalink settings, which is not that bad. But if you've got default, which is basically the URL, question mark, a P, which stands for post, equals then the post number, that's not very user-friendly or search engine-friendly for that matter, because a human being or a search engine will look at this and not have any clue what this is referencing by simply looking at this. Of all of these options, my favorite, or the one I would suggest that you use, is my favorite, and that is post name. So if you do make any adjustments here into permalinks, be sure to click on the adjustment you want to make. Come on down here and click on Save Changes. Now, adjusting the permalinks is best done as soon after you install WordPress as possible. If you adjust the permalinks on a seasoned site, one that has a whole bunch of different posts, you might be taking a chance of breaking some of those links or the URLs within your post. So just knowing that, you might want to have a full backup prior to making this adjustment, just in case that happens. Now, there are plugins like 301 redirects that can help fix that problem. So you might want to do a little reading up on that if that's the case. But again, if it's a brand new WordPress site, by all means, come on in here and adjust your permalinks as soon as possible. You can see here the URL or the permalink. Let's go ahead and refresh this. And you can see here, it's dropped the date part. And now it just has the domain name and the title, just like it is up here. But now again, if you wanted to have a different title, be sure to type it in here. Again, 60 characters max. And again, as far as the description, you've got 160 characters. Make good use of it. That gives you an idea anyway. And I would go as much into the 160 characters as possible. And as I had mentioned earlier, keywords here in the meta information is not that important anymore, but keywords in the actual content and the title is very important. So make sure that whatever somebody types in here in order to get to your post or your content, that you have those keywords ideally in both the title and at least a couple of spots throughout the content of your post. And if you do have images, which I highly suggest that you do, then you might want to go ahead and add the keywords into the title of your images as well. Even the alternate text, that's a good place to put some keywords also. But the keywords down here, not so important. And the no index and no follow boxes down here at the bottom, the only time I would check these boxes is if you do not want this content to be seen by the general public. In other words, you do not want the search engines to index this content. Tell them not to by checking these boxes. Otherwise, leave them unchecked. Come on up here, click on update, and your post is now search engine friendly. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this video on optimizing your post for search engine traffic. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. This video is going to show you a couple of different ways to prevent a server crashing brute force attack. Now, a brute force attack is when someone, usually a bot of some kind, continues to attack your login page by repeatedly trying to guess your username and password until it's successful and breaks into your site. Now, a couple of simple things you can do to help prevent the break-in is to never use easily guessed usernames like admin or test, and to always use strong, unguessable passwords that contain a minimum of 8 to 12 characters. Of course, the more characters, the better. This is going to help against the actual break-in, but not the damage caused by the resources being consumed on your WordPress site server, fighting off all those repeated attempts by the bot to guess your login credentials. Now, this can be helped by a plugin that limits the number of tries by a particular IP address, and then that IP address is blocked for a specified time frame. A great plugin for this is called Limit Login Attempts. The problem lately, though, has been that certain bots and their brute force attacks are coming from tens of thousands of different IP addresses, which will shut down a server very quickly even if you have an IP address limiting plugin installed. The plugin will prevent the break-in, but will not prevent the massive attack and the eventual meltdown of your server. Now, most hackers, when trying to use the brute force attack to break into your site, will do so through the wp-login.php file. Now, there are lots of quality plugins that will change your wp-login.php file to something else, so instead of the login URL being mydomainname.com/wp-login.php, which the hackers are targeting, these plugins will make it something like mydomain.com/login or mydomain.com/oh no you don't, or any other custom name to that particular file. Now, this fix will stop the brute force attackers dead in their tracks, but usually these plugins also have a ton of other settings that require very careful adjustments or your site's going to break. So basically, all we need is a plugin that's going to change our login URL, not use a ton of our server's bandwidth, and is super simple to configure. Now, before I introduce you to the plugin that I came across, I want to mention that if you are the only person ever to log into your admin area, like maybe it's not a membership site that you're running, then really you don't need to change your login URL. You just need to make your login page invisible to anybody except for you. And we can do that through a file on your root directory called the .htaccess file. And to do that, we're going to log into our cPanel control panel, come on down here to File Manager, and edit our .htaccess file. Now, if you're not seeing the .htaccess file in your root directory, probably because it's hidden. So to unhide this, come on back to our control panel here and click on the link for Legacy File Manager, and you're going to get this box that pops up. As a matter of fact, if you have just recently started with this particular hosting service and you've only logged into cPanel once or twice, you may still be getting this box popping up every time you do that until you check this box here to skip this question. So all you have to do at this point is just check this box here that says Show Hidden Files, click on Go, and those hidden files will be hidden no more. Now at this point, go ahead and select the .htaccess file, click on Code Edit or Edit, either way. Code Edit has numbers along the side here, Edit doesn't. But up here at the very top of the page, get you a couple of blank spaces up there and paste the following code. And I'm going to include this code as a copy and paste document along with this video, so you don't have to worry about trying to copy all these details here. But that's it. All you have to do now is simply replace these hashtags or #, whatever you want to call them, with your actual IP address. Now, where do you get your IP address? In case you don't know, What you can do is just go to your address bar of your browser, type in whatismyip.com, no spaces, and then it's going to display your IP address somewhere up in this area here. Copy that, paste it in place of these hashtags, save, and what this will do is it will basically hide your wp-login.php file from anybody or everybody except for anybody that has this IP address, which is basically you. Keep in mind though that if you have a what's called dynamic IP address, in other words one that changes regularly, then whenever you log into your WordPress site, you're going to get a forbidden page. Don't sweat it. Just find out what your IP address is again, come on back in here, put your new IP address in here, and you're good. And that also holds true with if you log in to your WordPress site from various locations. Try to find the IP addresses of all those locations and put those in here. So that's one way to do this. And don't forget to click on save too. But if you don't want to go that route, and you definitely don't want to go that route if you've got a membership site, in that case, you're going to go with the plugin version. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Now, while there might be others out there, this is the one that I'm going to go with. WPS Hide Login. Does exactly what we're looking for and nothing else. Super lightweight, super easy to configure. So let's install and activate this. Let's head on back to our WordPress site, log into our dashboard area, and this could be the very last time you log into your dashboard area this way. But if you've never done this before, super simple. Come on up here to the address bar of your browser, type in the URL to your WordPress installation, followed by a /wp-admin, hit enter. A box is going to pop up asking you for your login credentials. Go ahead and enter your username and your password, click on login, and you'll be brought to this page here. Then come on over to plugins, click on add new in the flyout. Then up here in the search plugins box, type in WPS Hide Login, hit enter. And then look for the one that says WPS Hide Login and click on Install. Now I've already done that. That's why mine says installed. Otherwise yours will say Install Now. Then come on down here to where it's going to be installed. Oh yeah. And then of course after you click on Install Now, you'll want to activate it. But once it's activated, come on down here to Settings, either on the plugin page, or you can come over here to Settings on the left and click on General. It's going to take you to the same spot. Just come on down to the bottom of the page, and this is it. This is all there is to it. Now, by default, they put the word login in the box here. That'll work just fine, but you can change this to anything that you want. Just make sure that you click on Save Changes after you've done that. So now then, instead of our domain name /wp-login.php, we have to use our domain name / whatever word we put in there to be able to gain access to our login page. So let's go ahead and log out of here and give it a try. You see it's already replaced that wp-login.php with our new word. But let's try it with the old way. And you can go with wp-admin, which some folks do. You're going to get a page not found. Or wp-login.php, also page not found. So those bots that are coming to your site looking to brute force their way in, they're going to get this each and every time and go on about their business to some other site that's not as protected as yours. Now, if you want to learn more about brute force attacks, come on over to codex.wordpress.org/brute force attacks. Don't forget the capitalization, the underscore, and the S at the end. And that's going to bring you to this page here at wordpress.org that you can learn a lot more about brute force attacks. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this video on securing your WordPress site against brute force attacks. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, we're going to go over what WordPress is. WordPress is a powerful free content management system, otherwise known as CMS, that allows you to create business websites, blogs, e-commerce web shops, and much, much more. WordPress was created in 2003 as a blogging tool, but has since grown to be a full-featured, powerful website creation tool used by millions of individuals, organizations, and businesses around the world. Some users of WordPress include Google, Coca-Cola, Sony, the New York Times, Harvard, and many others. WordPress is an open source project, meaning that there's a large, thriving community of people working on its continued development. And as with all open source projects, the full-featured, powerful software is completely free. Along with the core tools, there are thousands of plugins, both free and premium, that greatly extend the functionality of WordPress, so you can accomplish even more with your website. The powerful templating system means there are thousands of quality templates, also known as themes, both free and premium, that you can use to change the design and general look of your website. You can also develop custom themes, plugins, content types, and much more. And with the self-hosted option, you can create a wide range of extremely functional websites for just about any industry or need. And because of WordPress's solid foundation and adherence to web standards, it does a great job of search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO, right out of the box, which just basically means it helps with your search rankings, which helps your audience find you. Along with the head start the system gives you, there are tons of high-quality free plugins that can further help with your search rankings. WordPress offers businesses, individuals, and organizations a great way to create professional websites, easily control content, perform well in search engines, and engage with their audiences. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on a quick look at what WordPress is. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. Now, WordPress is a powerful publishing tool that makes it easy for anyone to publish their content online. WordPress comes in two different versions, WordPress.org and WordPress.com. Now, while a lot of the key elements are the same, there are some very important differences. For example, WordPress.org is a self-hosted solution, meaning the full-featured, powerful software is completely free. You are, however, responsible for getting a domain name, a web host, which is basically a company that actually hosts the files for your website, otherwise known as your server, and you're also responsible for installing the software. Now, most hosts offer an easy-to-use, what's called a one-click install option for WordPress because it's a pretty popular tool. While you are responsible for hosting and maintaining the site when using the self-hosted option, you are 100% in control of your website and the content on your website. You can use custom themes, plugins, analytics, and best of all, monetize your content and generally customize the site as much as you'd like. Now, WordPress.com, however, is a commercial service targeted mainly towards bloggers. Using the WordPress system, you can create a free blog, which includes managed hosting and a yoursite.wordpress.com domain name. Now, there are several limits, though. You will not be able to upload custom themes or plugins. You will not have direct access to the files on the WordPress.com server, and advertisements are going to be displayed on your blog. You can, however, upgrade your account and pay additional yearly fees for a custom domain name, additional hosting space, or removing those advertisements. Now, choosing which option is best for you just depends on what your goals are for your website. If you will be focusing mainly on blogging and don't want to handle or hire someone to handle the setup and maintenance, then WordPress.com is likely to be your best bet. If, however, you're a business owner of any size, you would generally be best served with WordPress.org, the self-hosted option, as you will have a lot more control and flexibility for your website. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. Thanks for watching.